overextended. They've borrowed a lot of money from the local bank. They're unable to meet the demands that are placed on them. That's the situation that we've got. So that's the context that we've got to think of. How do we feed the world in that context? Yeah, and I talk about how we got to have the best knowledge to be able to produce that food with the lowest cost in the most efficient manner, and oh, by the way, make sure that those farmers earn a little bit of an income as well that they can put in their pockets, just like you and I want. And we have fewer people going into that enterprise, as I said. And many towns in America, rural communities across the globe, are becoming depopulated. Everybody wants to go to the city. Everybody wants to sit in a comfortable, air-conditioned office. Everybody wants to start a startup and make $1 gazillion or whatever currency that is used. That's what's happening. That's the context that we've got. How do we produce food? How do we produce more food? You got the burgeoning population. And got about, just a few more years when some of the young people sitting here in the audience are going to be about my age. We're going to have, now the projections are maybe about 10 billion people. We should talk about the 9 billion problem. It's projected out to maybe about 10 billion people. How do we feed that population? Diminishing land and water resources and the constraints on, emissions like carbon and nitrogen and things like that. All of this is part of the context. And then you got to do it in this manner. That's all got to be done sustainably. Okay? And there's this sort of a connectivity between our ability to produce food and deliver it where it's needed, and water and health and climate. All these things are interconnected. If you were to tweak one, you're going to have an unintended consequence on something else. That's the context that we've got as well, that we got to have to think of as we think of how do we feed the world. And food and agriculture, if you look at the ecological footprint, when I say food and agriculture, I'm talking about what we would imagine. If I said food and agriculture, what you think of is maybe a farmer in the Norman Rockwell picture of a farmer wearing bib overalls on a tractor, and there's a barn in the back, a red barn in the back, and there's some cows in the back there, and some crops, like corn or wheat or whatever. That's the picture that you get, mental image that you get of food and agriculture. That food and agriculture has a pretty significant ecological footprint, and it turns out that we use almost a fifth of the energy to the food that you and I eat, that breakfast you and I ate, that lunch and dinner we're going to eat today. Almost a fifth of the energy is in there. Almost 80% of the fresh water is there. It's not in the showers we take or the clothes we wash or the manufacturing that we do. Where it is in that food. And greenhouse gases and ammonia. All these are contributing factors in the ecological footprint. We've got to figure out how to minimize that footprint. And a vision that we've articulated collectively, that I articulated when I was back in Washington, D.C., as well, as we've got to become resilient. We've got to adapt. And we've got to reduce that ecological footprint. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to sustain the growth of the population, be able to feed the world and things like that. And we got to do it also by decarbonizing. That is a pretty tall order. Imagine that. All the machines that we run, and these are all, certainly part of this context that we've got. But they all use fossil fuels. Mostly. We're morphing away from using fossil fuels, getting better and better at it. We've got a professor at Montana State University who teaches courses on the web, by the way. If you all are students are interested, I understand he's an award-winning teacher. You may want to go talk to him. He's teaching a class in that area. Maybe you've taken the class already. And but we got to decarbonize it as well. That's a pretty tall order. Absent that decarbonization, we're going to be, these young people here, they're going to have to now pick up the, crap that we're going to leave behind. Old folks like us leave behind for you. That's the challenge that we've got to think of as we're thinking of the context in which we're going to feed this world, this warmer world as well. So, I don't want to leave you thinking, oh my gosh, what are we going to do here? There is a path forward. There's absolutely no doubt about it. People that know me well, they know I'm the